you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Guys, and welcome to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you all are having a very strong start to your week. I am struggling a little bit, okay? This whole daylight savings time has my body so off the wall. I had to go into work this morning, or yesterday morning, 5 a.m., and I literally couldn't do it. Like, I was an actual zombie. I mean, it's not right when I look outside and it's 7 a.m. and it's pitch black. Like, were any of you guys up at that time? Like, that was weird because it's technically 6 a.m., but it's now 7 a.m. because of the time change. I know it's going to be bright. You know, it's going to be brighter in the following weeks, but still, it's just like a really hard adjustment, especially since I do have to wake up at the crack of dawn and it's like pitch black outside. It just like wasn't right. And something funny too is that at the gym I work at, we have all these people that sign up for classes, right? Like really early in the morning, 5:30 a.m., 6, so on. And like half the people showed up. The other half just couldn't do it. We had so many people call in like, I'm sorry I didn't make it to class. Like my alarm didn't go off or it went off and I kept snoozing. Like this time change has my body like really whack. And it was just like, I'm happy that I wasn't the only one, you know, feeling a type of way on the struggle bus because it was rough, okay? But I'm still here. We're getting through it. We're pushing through. And something exciting that happened over the weekend, you guys, is I am an official bar instructor. I taught my very first class. Well, technically I taught my first class last Thursday, but that was more like my audition. So there weren't that many people in my class, but I just taught a Saturday class. And usually where I work at, the weekends are more jam-packed and the classes tend to sell out, which is a good thing for us trainers and instructors. And mine was super full, which if you're a trainer or an instructor listening to this, then you know, like when there's a lot of people in your class, you literally just like feed off everybody's energy, and in turn that makes you, you know, project your voice more, and you just like get more into the rhythm of things rather than if you only had like 2 people in your class. But anyway, I'm so happy because I just taught like my bar class and I've been getting amazing feedback, and I'm just like really happy because that's just another specialization I can add onto my list that I got going on. And I'm currently working on another, specialization for personal training, which I'll be sharing once I'm like certified and everything. But yes, I'm super excited. I'm an official bar instructor, and I mean, if you're in the Sacramento area, then pull up because they're fun. And that's basically all we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be discussing about low impact exercise, but specifically really drilling into bar training. I'll touch on other types of low impact exercise in case for those of you who are listening, you're like, I'm not that interested in bar, but you should be because it's an amazing workout and there's so many benefits from bar training, which I'm so glad that I got to learn through my training and everything. So low impact exercise, like what exactly is it? How does it compare to high impact exercise? I'm going to lay that all down today, right now. So listen up. We all know that staying active with regular exercise is an important part of overall wellness, right? Duh. But if you're just getting started or are recovering from an injury or dealing with the effects of aging, bone density is coming down. You might be looking for options that get you in shape without excess stress on the joints. This is like pretty much everything my whole specialization is kind of this. I mean, my very first personal training, gig at the facility I worked at, it was all about low impact exercise. I specialize in slow motion strength training, which is very, very low impact on the joints. You're essentially pushing, pulling weights at a very slow tempo. If you guys want to learn more about slow motion strength training, I suggest you go to my other podcast that I have on here. I'm not sure what number it is. I'm gonna have to check that during the break here. But I dive all into detail about slow motion strength training. So if you are someone who's listening and you're looking for a low impact exercise, I would suggest, slow motion strength training is another really good option for you. So again, I'll share exactly the number of that episode in the next segment. And pretty much the good thing about low impact exercise is that, again, it's very little stress on the joints. And many of low impact activities offer many of the same health benefits as more physically demanding workouts. It may even, in certain cases, be better for you. There are also many reasons why people may not be able to take on high impact exercise. Again, for injury purposes, again, if you're pregnant, we obviously don't want to be involved in a lot of jumping or anything that's extremely stressful on the joints. So if you're looking for a workout that's effective but manageable for daily activity, give low impact exercise a try and give this podcast a full listen, because I'm going to dive into all the details right now. And when I mean low impact exercise, these don't have to be like your grandmother's workouts. And I say that because it's a huge misconception regarding low impact exercise. And trust me, I am guilty of this. I believed these misconceptions myself. I used to believe, when I thought of low impact exercise, I would think, oh, it's not going to be challenging enough. They're too easy. I'm too advanced for it. They're only for beginners. And typically we automatically assume that low impact exercise only involves things such as walking or water aerobics, which may be great for some and many people may be interested in that. But for others like myself, I'm not into that. I want something that's a little more high energy. But right now, low impact exercise is more popular than ever because thanks to an explosion in group fitness classes such as the one that I'm currently teaching and new workout formats that are inspired by everybody's diverse needs. So again, get that misconception out of your head. Low impact exercise can be high energy. It can be fun. And most importantly, it can be very challenging, even if you're an advanced weightlifter such as myself. So give low impact exercise a try, okay? Don't knock it till you try it, because I definitely did, especially when it came to my bar training or when I started taking bar classes. I totally underestimated this style of training, okay? When I got hired at this gym, the owner is nice enough, or one of my perks really, everybody's perks at the gym I work at, we get to try different fitness classes at our gym, and they're all super hard. Oh my goodness. I've never been a one to take fitness classes. I've always been very independent when it comes to my regimen. I usually like to go in and work out by myself and just focus on my training. I wasn't huge on the group atmosphere, but for some reason, my job, the members, the community makes me want to get up at 5 a.m. and work out, which is absolutely insane, because if you would have asked me to go work out at that time a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face and said, you're crazy. I'm meeting you at 10 a.m., not 5 a.m. But anyway, like I said, low impact exercise, it doesn't have to be boring. It's not just water aerobics, okay? It's definitely becoming more versatile. And let's first jump into what exactly is low impact exercise. So when it comes to exercise, impact is measured by the stress it puts on your joints rather than the amount of contact you make. So typically when we think of like high impact activity or high impact exercise, we tend to think more like sports, right? So like football or hockey, because those are very physically demanding activities and very high contact with like the hitting and everything. So low impact exercise high impact exercises also encompasses activities like running and gymnastics and involve jerking movement or hard landing. So like even like cross country or track, that's considered high impact, especially if you're doing like the long jump, the high jump, you're landing hard. That's like the impact I'm talking about. So anything that kind of puts more stress on the joint, that's going to be considered more high impact. Even jump roping is high impact, versus like low impact exercises like slow motion strength training, as I just mentioned, and bar training, which I'll get into in the next segment. And low impact exercise is generally defined as low load or low weight bearing, and involves more fluid movement or softer surroundings, softer landings. But that doesn't mean that they're always easier. Like I said, I would know I totally underestimated bar. I thought, how much can like 5-pound weights really do to me? How much damage can I really do to my fibers? And girl, I was proven wrong, okay? Like bar has been one of the most challenging classes I've ever taken, okay? Ever taken. It targeted my muscles in like the craziest way. It activated muscle fibers I never knew I like could actually activate. And exercises like bar or yoga that demand more balance and flexibility can be just as difficult as like high contact sports, like for athletes. And you know, it's always good to keep low impact options as part of your regimen with high impact. I'm not here to say, you know, drop the weights and go do low impact exercise. I think it's like a really good mix to involve high impact exercise along with low impact exercise if your health allows it. If, you know, as always, check with your doctor, especially if you do have an injury or you're coming out of, you know, rehab and all of that stuff. All right. But I just wanted to mention, I think it's funny how going back to, you know, one of the misconceptions that low impact exercise is very easy, not challenging enough. If you guys went to school or college and you guys took like a yoga class, because many of my friends like took yoga in college, and a lot of athletes, like I remember when I went to school in Santa Barbara, I took a yoga course and there were so many football players in there because again, it's like really good, especially for football. I mean, their muscles are like cramped up half the time, especially from like always hitting each other. And again, it's a very high contact sport. And the low impact of yoga, you know, to help stretch their muscles back and lengthen the muscles is very important to your recovery. You don't need to be an athlete. I feel like, again, it's important for everybody to do this type of exercise. So it was just funny to me when I read, you know, that exercises that demand more balance or flexibility are just as challenging as like, you know, going onto the squat bar and squatting really heavy. It's just like they demand different things out of your body and they activate different fibers in your body. And that's all I'm going to say about that without getting too deep into it right now. I'm going to come to a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to share with you guys some of the benefits of low impact exercises, and we'll get more into bar training.
Are you looking to learn more about the latest trends from the fitness world? Are you confused by all of the different trends that are out there? The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place for you. The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place to come for people of all skill and interest levels. Join us as we explore the latest trends in the fitness world. Does that new exercise really work? Should I try yoga? Whatever your question, chances are good you'll find an answer on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. Before I dive into the benefits of low impact exercises and bar training, I want to share with you guys about my slow motion strength training episode. Because again, that has a lot to do with low impact exercise. So after you're done listening to this episode and you're like, I want to learn another method of low impact exercise or activity, go to episode 214. It's titled, How Slow Can You Go? That's my episode. And I talk all about slow motion strength training, and the benefits and all that good stuff. So back to our regularly scheduled program here. So we know regular exercise has a myriad of benefits, from improved endurance and muscle strength to flexibility, pain reduction, heart health, you name it. High impact exercise, or like weight training, weight bearing exercise, also trains your joints to remain stable and can help prevent bone fractures, right? We're building up that bone density. And low impact exercise has all of these benefits, but what really kind of makes low impact different from high impact is that it involves less deteriorating impact on, I said impact like so many times. My God, do I not know a thesaurus? Anyway, so it's less stressful on the knees, hips, shoulders, and elbows. So it cuts down on the risk of musculoskeletal injury tremendously. And again, if you're someone who is just getting back into fitness, or you are in the process of rehabilitation, this is a good option, right? And in addition, it also helps lower blood pressure, which with high impact exercise, it actually tends to sometimes heighten your blood pressure just because of, again, it's high impact, high contact. So low impact would be the way to go. However, it's still, like I briefly mentioned this in the previous segment, it's still important to vary your workouts to keep all your muscle groups challenged between high impact and low impact, and to keep activating your slow twitch and your fast twitch muscles. Those who are young and healthy should still continue to practice a bit of high impact exercise, whether that be running, whether that be sports, weight training, any of that, as it encourages even more joint stability. But I say always practice in moderation, because too much high impact will stress your bones. And I saw this when I was at the slow motion strength training facility that I was working at, that all of these runners and cyclists that I was training, I mean, they've been doing this high impact exercise for many, many years, like decades. So that obviously tends to really stress out your joints, and in the long run, it's really not that great for you. So again, I suggest mixing it up, high impact with low impact. Those are, in a nutshell, the benefits of low impact exercise. Let's now dive into bar training, because I'm super excited to talk about this. And bar has become one of the most fastest growing fitness methods today. So where did the bar phenomenon exactly begin? We're going to do some little history here, okay? In a nutshell, bar was originally conceived by German ballerina Lotte Berk. She fled Nazi Germany to the United Kingdom in the 1940s, and there she developed bar as a way for not only trained dancers to tone, strengthen, and increase range of motion and flexibility. She also created this method for women to convene in communities of strength and empowerment inside and out. So really, it was during that time, it was really a community she built to uplift other women. And it's kind of crazy how almost a century later, we're still on that wave of women empowerment and trying to uplift each other. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it kind of important to mention on, the history of bar, I guess. And something else that I kind of found out about the history of bar is that it was created, there's like a sexual history about bar that Lotte Berk also created it to, like, I'm not going to get exactly the words right, but something with sex, and it's supposed to, like, I don't know. She like practiced Kegels in her bar classes and things of that sort. So you get what I'm saying? There's like a very sexual background history with bar training. I obviously won't get too crazy into that today. So these are basically low impact conditioning classes that combine movements of ballet, the strengthening of Pilates, and the stretching of yoga, all within typically a 45 to an hour class. And the great thing about bar is that it requires minimal equipment, usually, and each bar studio, bar class is a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about based on my experience and what I've seen. Requires minimal equipment such as like 2 to 5 pound hand weights, a mini band, aka booty band, a ball, not like the huge yoga balls, but like the tiny Pilates balls, and sometimes a mat and sliders. And of course, bar socks. And what's even better, you don't even need to go to a bar studio to incorporate bar training into your regimen. You could literally do bar in the comfort of your own home. There's so many videos out on the internet, okay? Shout out to YouTube, because what would we do without YouTube and Google? But literally you can do this in the comfort of your own home. They even have like you could do this on a chair, a countertop, or if you actually really want the bar, you can order on Amazon. I've seen they have like the actual bar you can place in your home. So there's no excuses if you really want to try this. And it's basically a super energizing full body workout that's great for everyone from beginners to pros. Each class works to build alignment, strengthens your core, tone, and elongate your muscles. So think all of the body benefits of a ballet dancer, but without actually trying or having to attempt a plie. I mean, you can attempt a plie in a bar class, but you don't have to. And bar training involves very, very high repetitions. So this class will definitely test your endurance. So I typically like to do bar twice a week on top of my weight training. I'll do bar as like kind of my cardio days, just because again, it is very low weight bearing. I get a huge sweat out of bar class. It's actually kind of crazy. And it, like I said, it's endurance training. Basically, you're doing sets for 3 minutes, you guys. 3 minutes, and you're working on one particular muscle group. So it's very high rep, very tiring, but you'll feel so good afterwards. And in this method, I just touched on it. It's the idea that to increase cardiovascular endurance while increasing the body's metabolism to burn fat. And don't get it twisted, you guys. It can be quite intense. Like especially with classes lasting on average 60 minutes, like it's very tiring. Definitely increases stamina. Stamina is achieved by allowing very little rest between activities so muscles stay engaged. So typically, and I'm going to just go based off like how I've taught the class or the classes that I've been to, we'll do planks for like a total of 4 minutes. And you're not just holding it, you're doing different variations of planks. So you might do like a plank to a downward dog for about 15 to 20 reps. And then you'll do like a 15-second high plank hold. And then you'll drop down to your elbows and hold a plank there for another 15 seconds. And then you'll do hip dips and like things like that. So it's like you're constantly moving. You're not just stagnant, but you're zeroing in that specific muscle group for a prolonged period of time, which again, that's what's going to help increase your stamina. It's going to test your cardiovascular endurance because we're going for a prolonged period of time and you get very little breaks in between each exercise. So like you're going to leave sweaty, toned, and stretched. That's another big key thing with bar training. So you're going to zero in that specific muscle group until it reaches failure, meaning until you like literally just can't anymore. And after we fatigued that specific muscle group, we elongate the muscle by stretching it. So that's the whole concept of bar, is that you strengthen, you tighten, you tone, and then once you hit muscular failure, we go into elongating the muscle by stretching it. And that's how you're going to leave, you're going to literally feel taller. Your posture is going to feel better. And again, I'm going to get into all the benefits of bar in just a short moment, but I want to still kind of give you guys an overview of bar training for those of you who like still have a big question mark as to what exactly it is. The biggest misconception with bar is that you need to be a dancer or you need to have a background in dance or have some type of dance experience, but you really don't. You can have 2 left feet and be fine and like be able to enjoy the class and follow the class. While there are elements of bar workouts that are dance inspired, like, you know, the ballet bar, it's really like the bar is really on there as a prop to help you balance, leaving you to, again, focus on isometric strength exercises. Isometric basically is holding your body still while you contract a small and specific set of muscles. So an isometric strength exercise will be like a glute kickback, but really like bar training focuses on squaring your hips, elongating the muscles, making sure, you know, you're keeping alignment from the top of your head all the way to your tailbone, and you're squeezing the heck out of that particular muscle group, in this case, the glute. So a lot of isometrics in bar training, many holds, okay? Very high repetition. So again, it's going to test your cardiovascular endurance. So again, it makes it very great, low impact exercise, but high intensity still, if you get what I'm saying. Low impact, high intensity. And it's also involves a lot of small, like pulses, a lot of small isometric muscle movements, which are used during bar classes to help build muscle strength without putting a strain on your ligaments or tendons, like other fitness methods can, such as like boot camps or HIIT workouts. The movements might be small, but trust me, you guys, you will feel the burn. Like literally, like I said, bar training, no cap, the hardest class, the hardest method of style of training I have ever embarked on, okay? And I'm not just saying that because I'm now an instructor of it. Like, even before I became an instructor and I took my first class, I was so winded, so shocked at how tired and sweaty I was. It was kind of crazy. But lastly, you guys, about bar training, it's fun, okay? As I mentioned, low impact exercise does not need to be boring. You're in a group atmosphere with upbeat music and you're working out to the tempo of the music and engaging in choreography. Don't get scared when I say choreography though. You're not like actually like dancing. What I mean by choreography is that you're just like going to like the tempo of the music and you're doing the same movements along with everybody else in the class. That's what I mean by choreography. Not actual like dance moves. We're not going to make you like, you know, actually like, I don't know, do ballet twirls and everything in the center of the room. Nothing like that. So that's a huge overview of bar training. Let me know in the comments if any of you have actually taken a bar class. I'm really interested in hearing your experiences and especially your first class, because mine, I was like totally, again, I was shook by just how tired and how challenging the class was. And we're going to cut into another quick break right now. When we come back, I'm going to share with you guys the benefits of bar training.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. Let's get straight into the benefits of bar training. Number 1, improved posture. There's a big focus on strengthening the muscles through the chest area and shoulders in bar practice, which in turn prevents us from slouching. Because, nowadays, we are attached to our cellular devices, other other technological devices, computers, TVs, things of that nature. And now more than ever, we're starting to notice people having extremely terrible posture due to us constantly slouching, or many people who have desk jobs or at a computer all day. Think about it. You're typing, your shoulders are hunched all day. And many of us aren't, sitting up tall, keeping our abs tight as we're sitting. Even right now, you might be listening to me in the car, at work. I don't know where you're listening to me right now, but you're probably slouched. Okay, I'm not calling you out. Low key I am, but all of this is, due to our daily repetitive patterns, and bar can help fix and improve and correct our posture due to this constant slouching that we're starting to see more than ever because we are so attached to our laptops and, other devices. I promise you guys, after just one session, I felt myself standing taller with a sense of elongation throughout my body. Again, because it's we're tackling, we kill our muscle in bar. And then at the end, it's you stretch. The last 5 minutes of class, we usually incorporate a little bit of yoga, breathing, just relaxing your entire body, elongating your muscles, which is super important because in training and any style of training, whether it's low impact, high impact, it's all about muscle length relationships. What I mean by that is usually when there's a shortened muscle, the antagonist muscle, which is the opposite muscle, tends to, be in pain. So say, for instance, you have a lot of knee pain. You can have a lot of knee pain because your hamstrings are tight or your calves are tight. So it's all about lengthening your muscles, and again, bar is amazing for that, and elongating and improving your posture. So I definitely feel like I have better posture throughout the day when I do bar, and I just feel taller, especially for my little self. I am 5'2", so I feel like I'm 5'4". I grew a couple of inches after doing bar training. All right, another benefit of bar. You'll notice a difference in your booty, or in bar terminology, we call it your seat. So bar training is fantastic for your glutes, ladies and gentlemen, because gentlemen should have nice glutes too, right? And sure, this is extra toning for our peachy rear department, which we're all striving for. We're all trying to have, the Megan Thee Stallion cheeks here. But more importantly, working on your glutes helps to strengthen all the muscles that stabilize the pelvis. And this can turn and help to alleviate pressure on the back, hips, and knees, which again, those are one of the most common problem areas that I listen to. Low back, knee issues, and strong glutes is going to help deter that issue. Another great benefit of bar is that your core will reap the benefits, because if you haven't already gotten the hint, there is a lot of core work in bar training. And when I'm talking about core work, I don't just mean sit-ups and crunches. Core work means when you're doing either an upper body or a lower body exercise, you are keeping your abs tight. You are pulling your belly button in. You are tucking your hips underneath. That is engaging your core and strengthening your core. And that is also part of core training, not just doing sit-ups. And bar focuses heavily on balance and strength, and your core is an integral part of training. As you use the abdominals to hold the body in a correct alignment, bar classes will give you a heavy core workout, which is perfect for keeping your toned tummies in check. Okay? So definitely amazing for your core, your glutes, but it's not just your glutes and abs that get a workout during bar. There's also a very heavy focus on arms. As I mentioned, it's like a full body workout that incorporates, anything from push-ups on the bar, tricep dips, bicep curls, lots of shoulder work with small weights. And you guys, do not underestimate those little 5-pound weights. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. My very first bar class, I was overly confident. The bar instructor was like, grab any set of weights ranging from 2 to 5 pounds. And I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going to shoot for the 5 pounds because I do all this heavy weight training. Like, I've been weight training for 2.5 years now. Like, I know what I'm doing. So I was totally cocky when I went in. I felt so dumb when we were only 10 minutes into the class and I had to drop my 5-pound weights. Like I said, I underestimated bar training. I underestimated my endurance, how crappy it was. And I felt so embarrassed, low-key, when I see like the rest of the ladies in there, ladies who are way older than me, have gray hair going on already. And they're there pumping these weights. Some of them had 5 pounds, but for the most part, most ladies and men, because there are men in bar classes, most of them were using 3-pound weights. So I definitely had to humble myself for the following class, and I used 3-pound weights. And even the 3-pound weights, you guys, is still challenging for me. Because think about it. 3-pound weights, doing baby pulses, like shoulder pressing for like 5 minutes. It is tiring. It is super tiring. And it's just, like I said, I had to humble myself real quick. But all of that to say, bar training will definitely surprise you, and it will make you stronger, more defined. And who doesn't want to be stronger and more defined and more toned? In addition, bar will help you become more flexible. And when I mean flexible, you don't need to like whip out the splits. Like more than 80% of the population do not need their splits. Only if your sport, requires that, such as like cheerleading, gymnastics, dance. Like you really, like when I mean it helps you become more flexible, it's very important, especially for your hip complex area. Again, this is enlarged due because we spend most of our days sitting, especially if you have a desk job. Think about it. Your hips are in a flex position all day. So it's really important to stretch your joints, stretch your muscles so that you don't feel that tightness around your hips. The combination of stretching and the focus on posture and bar training allows your flexibility to be what is wrong with me? I'm like, I just had a coffee before like I started recording this podcast. So I feel like I'm talking a million minutes an hour, and I just like cannot get my words together. So I apologize. Okay, let me breathe for a second. So bar training allows your flexibility to be pushed to the limit. Like I said, by no means, you do not need to be the most like graceful, swan-like ballerina at the bar, but give yourself a few weeks and you will definitely be surprised by how your flexibility increases. And I mean, we all need a little bit of flexibility in our lives. As I said, though, you don't need to be whipping out the splits. And another amazing benefit of bar, last one I'll mention, is that it helps reduce your stress. And bar training is not only amazing for your physical body, but it is amazing for your mind. We all know that exercise in general helps to reduce stress, but whereas like yoga and bar, they kind of quiet your mind, and HIIT kind of gets it all out, right? It's very high energy, high impact. Bar kind of sits somewhere in between. Bar is definitely a mental challenge, as each movement requires a level of mindfulness to stay engaged. It's almost like a form of meditation. I don't want to say meditation because you're definitely like, getting a good sweat on, but it does require a high level of mindfulness and alertness to the engaged muscle. It requires a high level of mind to muscle connection, in bar training, to making sure you're hitting the muscle effectively and correctly. And It's important as your brain focuses on each small movement and pulse. So the mental benefits of barre are very similar to yoga and Pilates, as it effectively increases mind-body awareness and your mental clarity. And especially like taking a barre class really early in the morning, I leave each class refreshed and feeling lifted and calm, which again is like really amazing for me. And it's an amazing way for me to kind of get my day started early morning. Even though it's like super hard for me to get up in the morning and get to class, I always know that I'm going to feel refreshed, elongated. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to feel like that really early in the morning? Like, that's part of my morning routine right there. And I'm going to cut into another very brief break, very last one. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to share with you guys celebrities who love barre training, and I'll also share some other options of low impact exercise.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm now going to be sharing with you guys some celebrities who love barre training, who have been incorporating barre into their fitness regimen. And a couple of these may surprise you guys. First one, we're going to start off with the OG, Marilyn Monroe. She used to do barre training, which I actually had no idea, but I found a picture on the internet of her doing it. And I'm like, wow. So it's been a thing. I mean, it was created in the 1940s, and Marilyn Monroe was around at that time. So I shouldn't be too surprised, right? The next celebrity here is, we got Victoria's Secret model Alessandra Ambrosio, who also loves barre. Natalie Portman, who she famously was preparing for her role in Black Swan, and barre training was a heavy, heavy part in her preparation for her role in Black Swan, which that's like all about ballet. So it makes sense that she took a whole bunch of barre classes to prepare for Black Swan. Another major celebrity who loves barre is another Victoria's Secret model. Can you guys guess? No, I'm going to tell you. Carly Cross and Candice Swanepoel. They both do barre. Audrey Hepburn was another one who loved barre. And these two celebrities love Pure Barre. And Pure Barre is it's a studio, a really popular studio all across the nation, the U.S. We actually have a couple here in the Sacramento area, which I am recording, or where I'm recording. Anna Kendrick and Zoe Deschanel, they go to Pure Barre and they love it, which is like, I love when I find out things that's like normal, everyday activities that celebrities also engage in, like going to Pure Barre. Can you imagine you guys going to Pure Barre and like seeing Zoe Deschanel or Anna Kendrick in the studio there, like just like casually working out? Like, I love that. I love it. The next major megastar who loves barre is Madonna. I didn't know that, but that's really cool. And then last but not least, last celebrity who I'll mention who incorporates barre into their fitness regimen is Dakota Fanning. And she specifically does cardio barre. So that's even more muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance. And there were so many other celebrities who do barre. I was like really surprised to find that out because, again, my little closed off self didn't think many people, did bar training. So I was pleased to see these results. Now, after all that bar training, all that bar talk, and you don't want to meet me at the bar, get it? Here are some other options for those who still want to incorporate low impact exercise, but don't necessarily want to do bar or aren't too enticed by that specific style of training. So there are a handful of other workouts and modifications you ladies or men can try to stay active while protecting your joints. First one, I kind of touched on it, yoga. Yoga incorporates body weight exercises and balance tests that will challenge your body for sure. It's great for those looking to improve flexibility as well as strength. Plus, it can alleviate joint pain. And if you're like a regular yoga goer, I guess, and yoga, the practice begins to feel kind of stagnant or you've plateaued, you can try something as simple as incorporating weights into your routine, or try like a fusion practice like Pilates and yoga, which again, there's like so many yoga studios and Pilates studios that kind of do like a fusion of both. So just again, kind of switch it up, add weights to it so you don't plateau. Another low impact exercise, really popular exercise, swimming, swimming laps or taking water aerobics classes, eliminates the impact of higher impact activities like running on the treadmill or Stairmasters. And swimming, it requires the use of all your muscle groups, and it's great for improving lung function. I mean, swimming can definitely get you cut and defined. Like, think of Michael Phelps and think of like swimmer bodies in general. Like, they're all very cut, especially their like upper body, their shoulders. So swimming is another amazing, amazing option. And then last but not least, the final low impact option I got for you guys here is cycling. Of course, cycling is another like really popular fitness fad trend going now. There's like all these cycling studios popping up left and right now. To be honest, this is probably like my least favorite type of low impact exercise because I don't know. I feel like I just go crazy, like sitting in a bike in a dark room and like pedaling super hard and like not going anywhere. Again, that's just like not my steez. Probably the same for you guys who are listening to me talk about bar training. You're like totally disinterested. That's fine. Each to their own. Everybody has their own likes. But cycling, I mean, if you love the adventure of running or going bike riding, but you're struggling with the pressure on your knee, biking or cycling, indoor cycling would be a great option. And it usually, like I said, there's a lot of studios. You can do it indoors, especially during like those grueling winter months when it's extremely cold and windy and rainy and ugly and gloomy, especially if you live like in an area where there's not a lot of sunlight. Like I said, it's a top trend in group fitness, and there are plenty of indoor cycling options to go around, and it's great cardiovascular training there. So those are some other options. Oh, and of course, slow motion strength training, which again, go to episode 214, How Slow Can You Go? All about slow motion strength training, low impact, high intensity exercise right there. And you guys, that's going to cover today's lengthy episode on low impact exercise. We covered a lot. I hope all of the information that I provided for you guys was useful and you took away something from today's episode. I share with you guys some of the benefits of low impact, but more specifically, I really drilled into bar training, mainly because that's what I've been incorporating into my regimen these last couple months. And I just got certified in it, and I just taught my first full bar class over the weekend. So I was just like super excited to come in today and record an episode talking about bar training, since it's like what I'm doing right now, and like my whole regimen is like focused on this style of training. And we talked a lot about other fitness routines, yoga, swimming, cycling. And that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you liked what I had to discuss today, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. And as always, I wish you all a very happy, healthy, and successful week. And catch me here next week at the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.